Hello and welcome. I'm your host Vanasteer, once again bringing another build for Elden Ring PvP. This build is my White Reed Samurai build, a level 150 dexterity build focused on flexibility and combat awareness. The weapons I'm using for this build are the Uchigatana, the Wakizashi, and the Longbow. The Uchigatana is our main weapon. Most of the time we'll be two-handing the Uchigatana and feeling out our opponents to start off a match. The Ash of War I have on the Uchigatana is double slash on keen scaling. I also have the Wakizashi set as my offhand weapon, although we will not be using the dual-wielding moveset in this build. My reason for this is because the range on the Wakizashi is terrible compared to that of the Uchigatana, and you'd probably be missing half your attacks whenever you tried to use this. The Ash of War that I'm using for the Wakizashi is parry set as keen scaling. You can use the parry Ash of War if you're confident in your parry skills, as parries on daggers are a bit harder to pull off. Finally, the third weapon for this build is the Longbow. I have selected it in my second right-hand slot, and the Longbow is our ranged component to this build. However, I found it to be more useful in situations where your opponent is aggressive and needs you at close range to do damage. As they rush to attack you and get close, you can activate Mighty Shot and stun them with a shot from close range. On top of that, Mighty Shot arrows come out very fast, and I found that in these situations, it is hard for your opponent to dodge them at a close range. The arrows I'm using with the Longbow are regular arrows and fire arrows. I use regular arrows as they're extremely inexpensive, and you can get an unlimited amount of them in the game. I am also using the fire arrows for the same exact reasons. The armor set that I'm using for this build is the White Reed set. It not only fits the theme of this build, but the headpiece also gives us a plus 10 to our dexterity stat. Next, the talismans I'm using for this build are the Prosthesis Wearer's Heirloom, Millicent's Prosthesis, the Shard of Alexander, and the Crimson Amber Medallion plus 2. The Prosthesis Wearer's Heirloom gives us a plus 5 to our dexterity stat. Millicent's Prosthesis also gives us a plus 5 to our dexterity, but also increases damage with successive attacks. The Shard of Alexander gives us an increase to our weapon skills, and the Crimson Amber Medallion gives us a bonus to our HP. My stats for this build are 60 Vigor, 27 Mind, 40 Endurance, 15 Strength, and 57 Dexterity. My dump stat for this build was Mind, although you only need 20 to use this build effectively. With 27 Mind, you can use the entire chain of Double Slash around 17 times before needing to drink an FP flask. Lastly, my Physic Flask includes the Dexterity Knot Crystal Tier for a temporary plus 10 boost to Dexterity stat. With this build, you can use any other crystal tier you want, and I found myself using multiple different ones to see how I liked them in my duels and invasions. Anyways, that's all for the build itself. Stick around to the end to hear my closing thoughts, and be sure to enjoy the rest of the video. I had fun playing this build. However, because I had so much mind, I often found myself relying on double slash to do damage at close range. Even though there's no apparent problem to this, it not only plays into the trouble of Katana's users only spamming L2 to win in Elden Ring, but it goes against the idea behind this build itself, flexibility, and versatility. So, if you do use this build, try to avoid that. Anyways, that's all for the video. Comment if you have any ideas for builds, and I will see you in the next one. Thank you.